Bonjour, everyone. It is Sue with Sue is Retired to France on a Shoestring. It is a cool and drizzly day here in Castelnaudary, France on a Sunday, June 16th. And today I am going to do my first speculative or projected monthly budget. I'm going to be here at the beginning, as you can see me, and then at the end. But in the interim, I will be posting screenshots of my different budget components so that you can see what I'm spending. And I might change this format in subsequent months, but especially today, I just wanted to get it out there. And so hopefully this will at least give you some kind of idea of what costs can be for a solo person coming across from the United States to France, and see if it's something that you can do. Now, as I stated a long time ago, my goal is to do this solely on my Social Security income. And as you can see by my budget right now, it looks pretty doable. I do have savings that I will, of course, be dipping into for a rental deposit and for any types of purchases that I need to make. Household goods, I've already done some of that, which is not reflected in the budget. It's about $200 this month, and that is for things like a laundry basket, for a dustbuster, and for similar types of things that are long-term purchases. And I'll figure out where to put those probably a couple of months down the line. Once I have a better sense of what an annualized cost for those types of things will be, then I'll put it in. But for right now, they're one-offs. So I'm only looking at the things that I know are sure bet expenses for this month, for July, for August, and moving forward. So that said, I'm going to turn off the camera right now and let's get started. The first category here is housing. And this is for my first 3 months. I have averaged out what my Airbnb costs are. And of course, they include electric. They also include internet, but I went ahead here and did put internet in because I know what it will probably be like moving ahead after I move into a full-time residential leasing situation. So average per month is, as you can see here, I've got it broken down into dollars and euros. And for euros, I have been updating this on an every other day or every few day basis. Right now, as of June 16th, the exchange rate is terrible. It's 1.15. So that is not advantageous to the dollar. But on the bright side, I am appreciative of the fact that the exchange rate is lousy right now, so it makes it very easy for me moving ahead to make sure that I secure a long-term lease and other costs that I can control that are within my budget, instead of going maybe a little bit out of it for a rental situation and then getting stuck and being a little bit tighter than I would like to be. Here you can see my average rent. My mobile phone total will stay the same. So I have 2 cell services. I have my US phone, which I ported my telephone number over to Tello, and you can see the costs here. And I have an account with a provider called Free, F-R-E-E. It's not free, but that's the name of the provider. And you can see what the usage is here. In total, my monthly mobile phone bill is approximately $20 US and $17 euros. Which is insane when you compare it to United States pricing, but it's fabulous if you're here in France and probably most of Europe as well. I don't have any bank service charges. Right now I am using my current bank in the United States, which is Capital One, and I also am using Wise, which is an international banking application, as well as Revolut. And I do not have that much in Revolut. I only plopped, I think, about $50 over there. I will be exploring that more in the future, probably to pay my utility bills. I might use Wise for that, but I wanted to make sure that I had a Revolut account, which will allow me a French international banking number and Wise has a Belgian international banking number. So just in case I needed the French one for my utilities, I wanted to make sure I had that in place as a backup. Renter's insurance, I am not paying that right now, but the average, it seems, is about $20 a month or about 18 euros a month. So as soon as I do secure a long-term lease, I will be spending that. And of course, that will need to be in place to show to my eventual potential landlord to make sure that they know that I have that coverage to protect myself and to protect them. And then miscellaneous household. As I stated ahead of time, this month in June, I've already spent about $200 on laundry basket, dust buster, a Swiffer, a couple of other things that will definitely come with me. But it's the type of thing that you have to purchase once and then you don't really need to purchase again, unless, of course, you break it. So this is my monthly household cost, which totals approximately $1,043 US, and that comes out to about 903 euros per month. The next category is food and household items, as well as healthcare costs. And as you can see here, I'm budgeting about $400 a month for food, a little bit for paper goods and cleaning supplies, a slight amount for office supplies like pens and paper and other items I might need, envelopes. And then for dining out, I've put about $150 a month, and I think that that might be a pretty good estimate. Might be a little bit too high, but I'm going with that for right now. I do not have any expenses in the health category. I know that I will eventually be purchasing some over-the-counter medications, although I brought a lot of that with me from the United States. And I did have to purchase a full year of health insurance in advance for my visa. And that cost me $550 for the entire year. But I am allocating that to moving costs and not to monthly costs. Yes, I will have costs for healthcare in the future, especially starting in year 2. A lot of that will be a mutual, and that may be anywhere between 80 euros and possibly 110 euros per month. But I will cross that bridge when I get closer to it and be able to forecast that a little bit more accurately. Also, in April, I filled out a specific form and mailed it to the Social Security Administration to ensure that my Medicare Part B payment of $185 a month was removed. And I did get confirmation of that both online in my SSA account as well as by written documentation, which came to me in the mail in my permanent United States mailbox. And they will be forwarding that to me here. That is one option that people have. I won't go into it in big detail here, but I chose not to continue that coverage because I have no plans on going back to the United States. And if I do, then I am actually allocating that amount of money per month once I get settled into a specific savings account for at least year 1 that I am here and possibly year 2, so that if I do need to go back to the United States and repurchase Medicare Part B coverage, I will have that in the bank if there are any penalties that are attached to that. Next, we get into transportation and travel. And I have rented a car for 3 months, June through the end of August. And this is what the monthly cost will come out to be, as well as an additional policy for collision damage waiver. In Europe, this is not typically included with your rental car insurance. And it is far less expensive to go ahead with a secondary company than it is to go with the rental car company. In fact, I think that the cost per day for the CDW from the rental car company was 5 or 6 euros more per day than the actual cost of the rental car, which was nuts. So it was far less expensive to do it this way. I did rent another electric car. This is a Volkswagen i3, and it's fantastic. It's kind of funny how this has been the only cars that I have rented in the last couple of years, but it works out fantastic because it's very inexpensive. So far, I have put some significant kilometrage or mileage onto the vehicle going back and forth to Carcassonne and Albi and a few other places, such as Toulouse. And I have paid a minimal amount for parking and then also for trains. And so I am going to budget that to be able to go to different cities on a regular basis. I am not budgeting anything this first year for international travel or significant travel. I have enough on my plate to explore nearby, and I am perfectly comfortable with that. Next up, we have the costs of living here and being a resident of France. So first off is the cost of the yearly residence card. I went ahead and I did validate my visa, and that was 200 euros. And then on an ongoing basis, it looks like right now it's about 225 euros per year. So I did go ahead and budget that in. Also, I needed to have a photo to be able to send in to swap out my driver license. That is what ANTS is. That is the state organization for everything that is driving related. And I have gone ahead and submitted my application to have my Texas driver's license swapped out for a French driver's license. And that can take anywhere from a few weeks, as some people have said, all the way up to a year. You are allowed to drive on your existing United States driver's license for a full year after you have confirmed residency in France. However, it is not advised to go ahead and wait until later in the year to swap that out, or if you're not from one of the 18 states that can do that, you do have to take the French driver's course and the driving test, which thankfully I do not have to do. Also, I've got some line items here for translations. I did have to spend approximately $90 so far to translate my United States driver's license and my Texas driving record to submit those to ANTS. And I know that it will probably have some other costs that I'm not even aware of yet. So for right now, it's looking like about just under $50 per month for these costs, which translates to about 42 euros per month. Next up, we have pet care, and that includes vet costs, dog food, and treats and other types of things. I did purchase some harnesses for the dogs, which I did not need in Texas, but as I have probably mentioned on at least one other video I've done recently, the neighbors that I have currently don't bother to leash their dogs, and Obi already got bit. It did not break his skin, but he was freaked out for a couple of days, and just to make sure that I have complete control of my dogs at all times, I figured that harnesses were a smart idea. I will be going to the veterinarian this Tuesday to get both dogs registered in France. I'm not quite sure if these are appropriate costs, but I did do some research online, and it looks like the maximum cost in my area for a average vet visit consult is in line with these numbers, and so that's what I'm going to use for right now. And these categories wrap up the remainder of my monthly budget at this point in time. There's not too much here. I'm not really planning on going to any live concerts or anything right away. I do pay for Apple TV on a monthly basis. I also have a 3-month subscription to Stars so that I can wrap up watching some of the programs that I haven't finished yet from the last couple years, namely Outlander and a couple of others. I do have a subscription to the newspaper Le Monde. It is not until 2026, I think mid-year, that comes back up for renewal, so I just didn't even include it here for this year. And then I have purchased a birthday card for someone here, as I was invited to their birthday cocktail hour, which was fairly sweet, but not too many other things fall into this category at this time. I don't have any need to purchase new clothes at this time, and I am budgeting about $29 or 25 euros per month for personal care. And in terms of miscellaneous, I do have some charges that are associated with my long-term mailbox in the United States. And I have incurred some charges such as postage, sending a check to my bank account to be deposited back to the United States. But I don't expect a lot of those charges. But I am keeping them in here just because that's the type of thing that comes up and you never really know what's going to happen. As for taxes, I'm not budgeting anything right now. There is a very good chance that I will not be paying any taxes based on the amount of Social Security income I have, but I won't really know that until the end of this year. So I'm just keeping it zero for right now, and we'll be able to flesh that in more towards the end of this year. So that brings us to the totals, which everybody I'm sure has been waiting to see. My monthly Social Security income is $27.84 per month. And my budget right now, again, it's fluid, so it may change, but somewhere around $2,600 or about 2,054 euros per month. And I might be able to save about $180 on this budget and a projected annual savings of a little over $8,900. But I don't think that that will really come into play because there will be a lot of purchase costs that will be required when I get my full-time living situation put together. There will be deposits that need to be put down. But this at least puts it all on paper and gives you kind of an idea of what the costs are for someone in a solo living situation who has moved to France can look forward to. So I'm back again, and I hope that you enjoyed this compilation of what it looks like it's going to cost me for year one here in France. Just as a side note, I am looking at 4 or 5 really fantastic long-term rentals that are in the 600 euro to 800 euro range. So they are less expensive than what my Airbnb is for the summer. Once, of course, I have that permanent living situation nailed down, I will be able to tighten up my budget a little bit more and see where I need to make some changes, especially with perhaps food budget, entertainment budget, a few other things, transportation. One thing I did not mention in here when I was talking about the transportation costs is I do not plan on purchasing a car. In fact, I am looking at living situations where I will not need a car. I will be able to rent one if I want to go to places that are not accessible by train or by bus or by bicycle, which I will also be purchasing. But I am not really interested in having a car. I don't really want the costs associated with it. It is fun to drive in Europe, but it's also stressful because the roads are smaller, the corners are tighter. It's much easier to get dings and dents because of the cramped driving conditions, and I've got enough on my plate for year one, so I don't think I really need to deal with that. And it will be really nice to not have a car payment. So that's it for today. I wish you a bonjour, a bonsoir. Take care of yourself. I will see you again soon. And if you have any questions or comments or solutions or anything else that applies to this information, please pop them in the comments and share them with myself and other people. And I will see you again soon. Au revoir.